Okay. So we're back. We're back. We're on the title screen. Everybody's in roll 20. Perfect. We got a four-man party tonight. Um, so I'm real quick gonna drag you all into where you were last time, and we're just gonna talk for a bit because we have some catching up to do. Uh,
Sounds good, man.
so here we are. Okay. At this point, we'll say that we are properly into the Redshift now, and it's been a couple days maybe since you guys have gotten back to um, Arthur's Tower and the little fort that you've got built around it. Important things that happened last time. Just to kind of recap from a couple weeks prior, um, you sent Nasharala and Zoramos packing. Uh, Perhaps we won't say handily, but um, it's it's the win that counts, right? Um, Following that, with the help from a prisoner taken, uh, we were able to stage a raid on their lair. Um, Trigger the traps, have our paladin explode a little bit, um, get some loot out of it, muck with their teleport circle. After destroying their teleportation circle, and effectively nullifying their grasp on their turf that they've had for however long they've been out here in the Redshift zone. Um, the Expeditionary Commission has been able to finally expand their reach a little bit further than they had been able to for the past several months over the winter. Um, Throughout the spring, ever since Nasharala and Zoramos bumped into you all out in the wilderness, it's been a very dangerous prospect moving forward. Um, and has been sort of your responsibility to try to forge that path. Now that that's done, and now that the um, ruined city Shose has been discovered, um, with the impossibly high glass wall which bisects and cuts the valley in half that the city sits within. Um, the next order of business has really become uh, more of back to the commission's real job, which is finding a way to the center of the redshift where it originates, and namely at this point, uh, trying to get past that glass wall, or trying to get somehow over that mountain range that seems pretty tricky to deal with because whatever works. Um, Maybe there's a road somewhere through there. Who knows? Uh, what I'd like to remind the team is that in terms of crossing the mountains, there is a tall mountain range that stretches north to south uh, through Vesaw. And the glass wall, as far as you have explored, seems to effectively delete a valley uh, that used to be there in the kingdom's prime, um, before all this bad stuff went down. Uh, Whether it's the wall or the mountains, Crossing this range is pretty difficult. In terms of, like, difficult terrain, getting up and down the mountains already constitutes difficult terrain in terms of, like, overworld movement. Um, but crossing the actual, peaks at this point and finding passage through the valleys and through through whatever cliff sides you can manage to kind of work a path out of, is, at this point, fairly treacherous, fairly difficult, but most importantly, um, you all know that even if you can do this as a team of 4 to 6, individuals, um, you need to be able to find a pathway that is also, traversable by the commission, by people who are carrying things, people who have carts, horses, the
Right, supply lines.
you need a supply line, obviously. You're not going to be able to get to where you need to go if for the next 200 miles you're trying to do this solo. Um, so that's kind of the big priority that we're thinking about here. Um, and Back to current events. Um, Last week's exploration in universe last week in real life, month or two ago, found you all exploring the mountains a little bit toward the northeast. Again, not crossing the range just yet, but kind of getting a good view of the local area. Some stuff happened. You found a point of interest involving some magic fog. Everybody was there for that. Uh, but and brought back some information. I believe. Um, Little bits and scraps as usual. When you returned to the safety of the obelisk, you found um, one of your leaders, Dex, uh, flat on his ass in the dirt, recovering from uh, possibly only survived thanks to his, for a wizard, incredible girth. Um, a spell trap set on Nasharala's lair, um, by according to Dex, somebody who must be a fairly powerful wizard, on par with himself. Um, and uh, He'd remind you that the only reason you all didn't trigger this trap is because it was designed in such a way that it would trigger when somebody read and comprehended the glyphs that it was set with, which basically means um, it was a trap set for a wizard by another wizard.
You could have had the cat look at it.
Um, he's fine at this point. Um, and fortunately, he was the one, rather than any of the other scouts or people who had accompanied him, who took the brunt of the magical blast. Um, they managed to drag him back here to safety, and Angela has been tending to him in the meantime. Um, he'll be on his feet before too long. Even a couple of days after you arrive, he's no worse for wear, but for a bit of a nasty sort of fresh new lightning bolt tattoos all over the chest, more or less.
And a fun story.
Yeah.
I've got a few exploding stories myself. I know how it goes.
Um. So in the meantime, um, that's kind of where we're at. Uh, but a few other things have happened around the Redshift zone, under the purview of the commission. Um, Notably, uh, Vanther Zexiath's team, up to the northwest, have prepared a new obelisk site at this point, and preparations are underway to get that up and running. They found a sort of old Veshan amphitheater that they, uh, from what you've heard, sounds like had a bit of a harpy problem, um, but has since been recovered. Um, and that's fairly close by to where you are, actually, to Fort Arisa, and it's likely that in the next week or two, the commission will finally be able to make a kind of notable connection with the uh, northern uh, group of the commission that's been kind of branched off for a while. Um, And you imagine that's probably what Expeditionist Mordier's team is going to be up to for a little bit. They are planning to, for the most part, assist with that um, small bit of recon and people moving, essentially. Um, some of the other stuff that's happened. Mont Lauren is 65 years old now. Yay!
Yay!
Happy birthday, Mont
Happy
Lauren.
birthday.
I need to find the right formatting button. You know. So that happened during the Redshift, I believe. Um yes, during the Redshift. While you all are taking your sweet time, or biding your time in the fort here. Um he's three
Fun
times
fact.
your age and still a baby.
To be honest, so am I.
Yeah.
Aren't
Yeah.
gnomes like equally as long-lived as elves?
I think they hit the 400 mark, roughly, maybe 500.
Interesting. But what about all that newfangled science about short people living longer than tall people?
It
I'm joking.
I mean, it might happen. I think it just depends on how. I think part of it is fully dependent on how smug you are.
Ah, okay. Shit.
I mean, honestly, that explains a lot of the D&D novels.
Kinda does, yeah.
Um, wow, damn, you're outaged by the fucking Goliath wizard. Cool.
Wait, what do you
Um,
mean?
Dex is 69. I was just looking for people that are older than Mont Lauren.
Oh, wow. How old is
Um,
Lucette? Punches me if
she's
I ask?
she's 47.
Huh.
And no, she doesn't have that kind of hang up.
Of course she doesn't.
Um,
Did
but oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did we ever hear back from the folks who tried to take the boat to see if there was a way around the mountains in the south?
Yes, indeed, and we're gonna get to that. There are a couple other things I want to outline before we have uh, Captain Rodile give us some good news.
Sweet.
Um, So, the next obelisk on the way, we talked about that. The other big change that's happened in the past couple of weeks is due to a newfound fear of scrying. There has been kind of a top-down order to mostly abandon the obelisk at Morio's old lair. Um, it it may well be too late, but no precaution is precaution enough in this sort of situation. Uh, on the chance that whichever wizard has set these traps and that the salamander Magnius seems to think has the capacity for scrying, um, or even if there are multiple wizards who are doing the same thing in the Dragon King's army. Um, Dex has explained that scrying is really great for spying on specific people or specific locations that you know. Um, so, Salamander Magnius would have been a great target if this wizard knew Magnius personally. Um, Moria's lair, there was a teleport circle in there. Same with Nasharala's lair.
Right.
This suggests that a wizard of quite some power lived there for a year, right? Um, and set up that teleport circle, or both of them even. So the chances that they could then scry on the commission members who are stationed there, and then continually potentially continually scry on them, get info on other locations, eavesdrop on whatever conversations. They could even listen into the obelisk network or find out how the obelisks work. This is all bad news. Even if it's too late, um, the team at Keep Ignis has over the past little bit, they're about halfway done moving out of that keep and over to Grandmother's Grove, who has opened up her grove a little bit wider, um, to let people in and let the commission take part to keep them safe from this potential problem. Um, Part of this has included finally hooking up Grandmother's obelisk to the network, um, and as it happens, she and Arisa, who is incarnated within the obelisk network, and Arisa's friend, uh, Guyvine, the talking temple, um, who has recently, with the help of the commission, been much more himself and has been wakeful enough to finally be briefed on everything. Um, the network has really been a buzz with the three of them just getting along swimmingly for the past few days at this point. Now, um, for Montlaren's previous question, um, Expeditionist Rodile, again, a few days after the first wave is able to report in um, from Harpum, down by the coastline, and the news he gives at this point is that he and his small crew, uh, on his small boat, were able to, in pretty good time, sail most of the way around the bay. Um, However, Well, let me give you all a map to look at right now. And let's hope this loads properly for all of you. Close your eyes. Everybody here?
Yeah.
Where are we on the map?
Yeah.
You guys are at Aris's Tower right over here. Sort of in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, I found it.
Now, directly south of you is Obelisk Carpum. And what Expeditionist Rodile did with his team was sail east around the northern and finally eastern edge of the bay. They did stop their journey when they saw the mountains give way to a volcano.
Whoa.
And hearing it from him directly, knowing what we're dealing with, they turned around as fast as they could to report back in. From what he says, they didn't run into anything out there really, and anything of note besides that. They didn't run into any problems when they came up upon the volcano when they noticed it on the horizon, and he hopes they were far enough away when they turned around that they weren't spotted by anything that might live there. But they also didn't see anything. So this is a potentially delicate location.
Yeah, we don't have any confirmation that there's anything there, but I suspect we'll find more of our friends there if we look hard enough.
Yeah, volcanoes seem like exactly that sort of spot.
It's worth remembering that Magnius did say that he lived in a volcano.
Right.
Other information from Rodile includes that there seem to be a couple of islands, small islands around the bay, but they didn't notice anything particularly interesting on them from afar. They were more worried about kind of circumnavigating the area anyway at the time. Might be worth looking into at some point, and maybe they might run over there themselves. Before anything else. And based on the map so far, it seems the mountain range extends all the way into the sea, cresting down toward the mouth of the bay, such that one would need to head out into the open ocean to get around it.
Yeah.
Which is possible. It could be done. The boat that Rodile has, which is still currently the only one in the Commission's fleet, barring your people getting a couple more built, is worthy enough to make the small jump across the open waters there. No, it's not a boat you'd want to take out on the open ocean, but
Right.
as long as you're staying within a couple miles of the coastline, you're pretty okay.
Like a caravel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost exactly, in fact.
Yep. It is a the D&D rules say keelboat.
Okay, so flat bottom.
But it's got a keel.
I guess it does have a keel, yeah.
So,
We actually sold them in COE.
Oh, nice.
What? You sell them?
We did back in the day, yeah.
Gotcha.
I think we might want to consider taking the little cloud base that we saw up in the hills as a good midpoint, so we can try to go up north to Vrabast. I get a suspicion that there perhaps is a pass over there that will get us across the mountains.
Well, there's certainly no look south. Like, even by boat, there's still a long journey if we try to go that way.
If that was going to be the objective, we would probably need to get a seaworthy boat that we can just wait out the Redshift in and then come in as soon as it clears, and plan to go back to that boat for our escape afterward.
Alvistaver would have an idea. In places or volcanically active mountains, there tend to be old lava tubes and stuff like that. There might be tunnels that could get us through on the other side.
See, I'm actually wondering, likewise, if there are, if not lava tubes, then other sort of like, crevices and the like that we might be able to find access to in these mountain ranges. But I'm with, I think I'm with Nimbus. I think we want to investigate the northern end of this mountain to see if there's of this range. I mean, to see if there's a pass that we haven't seen yet. Otherwise, I think we need to find a really big piece of like ceramic or diamond and just throw it at the wall and hope it shatters.
I want to ask though, what do we know of the old Darkwood? Is there potentially a way we can go through there around?
Well, yeah. So that is that would be a fair bit north of you right now, as it normally is, and that is oft considered just as dangerous and inhospitable as the Redshift zone itself, unexplored and in dire straits. If you find that you needed to navigate around a mountain range by going through the dark wood, then it could be done. It's probably something that you'd have to see and find out what the terrain is like in that direction.
Yeah, I kind of feel like our next like big goal ought to be finding Vrabast.
I definitely.
I mean, I know Nimbus suggested it, so I feel like that's something you're for.
I definitely agree. The one other thing I would consider, though, is scouring the remaining territory that we haven't discovered yet to see if there may be some sort of lurking threat from another Fire Kids castle that we haven't come close enough to encounter.
Right, like there's no doubt that the Western Territory is unsettled, for lack of a better way to put it. Especially if that volcano is what we think it is, because I honestly expected to find that on the other side of the mountain range.
Yeah, and now that you have Kikantum nearly established, there will be people who are navigating around this general area quite a bit, as they are able to go south and west and poke and prod around the area, and potentially north up here if they manage to go that way.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like if we use all of our tricks to fast travel, we can probably jam up the rest of that mountain range and back if we don't take too many side trips.
It seems possible.
I mean, we got where we got last time, and we had time to clear out that ruin at the end.
To be fair, that took a grand total of maybe 20 minutes.
I was gonna say that was basically a rest stop on the way back, but
D&D time dilation.
totally.
Well, with a diminished crew, I think it might be a little bit better for us to kind of hold off a little bit. I wouldn't want us to be stuck with one of our sources of fast transportation too incapacitated and then not being able to make it back.
Sure. If that's the case, if we really want to do, a scouting run, then maybe we try booking it to Cantum.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. At least to know what's between here and there would be
Right.
very
If
helpful.
if we straight shot it, we'll at least explore that piece of the forest. If we decide to hook up past the arena that we fought in, we could potentially explore, the edge of that fen on that side as well.
Yeah, and it might not be bad to get our bearing on that body of water up there, exactly how big and how much stuff's going on. For all I know, it looks like a good place to build a civilization. There might be some ruins somewhere nearby it.
Right, like it may be a good halfway point between the tower and Cantum, if nothing else.
Yeah. I mean,
You've been pretty quiet, Amber Green and Albus. What do you guys think?
I'm with Amber Green right now, but I kind of think Canton is like that's a pretty far stretch, but then again, Alvis Taver is really also motivated to get his map filled out and thinks that strategically that would be a good piece of information to have for us in the coming conflicts. So.
The fun part is we don't have to come back, right? Like it's a one-way
If we can
trip.
make it to Cantum, we can stay there.
Yeah, exactly. And then we could also be the ones to establish a pathway there, which, is on the kind of what Alvis Taver has been thinking about with the upcoming.
Prestigious.
Yeah, it is.
Just thinking about that, actually, with the mountains over there, we could probably take a quick peek up high and see how much further we can see from there. That might really help fill out some of our understanding.
Those two locations are where you fought the dragon siblings.
Right. The top one's the arena. The bottom one's the one we actually fought in. Right.
Right. Okay. So yeah. All right. I was just wondering if there was any
or you can
any reason that we would want to go swing by there on our way. But since there isn't, then yeah, I think going straight to Cantum and clearing this part of the map would be a great trip.
Well, again, there is the chance that there's some ruins of some civilization, though I'd imagine it got picked quite clean already.
Oh yeah, we don't know what's in that space right there. That's the whole point. So there might be something there to interact with.
Yeah, I think it's worth the trip. And they might not be leaving right this moment, but I'm sure Irenaeus and Naya will, make their way over with us at some point, or find their own way.
They're most likely going to stick around here as a defensive squad is still kind of needed in the area.
Gotcha.
It's not so far a stretch, even if we stop at the arena, that we couldn't make it back if we took on a level of exhaustion in an emergency. Yeah, I still think the trip to Cantum is the best plan for the four of us for the moment.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we should run it by the brass, but I think that's our plan.
You have free reign of your own independence, more or less. Brigadier Demira says, well, I'm a little concerned about that volcano, but we can simply not cross it for some time. And in fact, I'm not sure if sending you to a volcano is wise in the first place. I'd like to have eyes on it, but I also don't want eyes on us near it.
If our intel is correct, I keep notes. He says, if our intel is correct, that fortress is very likely empty during the waning period of the Redshift. If we have the resources, it might be a good idea to plant ourselves a device if we can find where their actual fortress is while it's mostly empty.
Oh, good idea.
With the volcano, you're saying?
Yeah. I don't know that we have time in one Redshift to get down to Harpum, get into a boat, get over there, and do it ourselves. But as a midterm objective, getting like literal eyes on that location, I think, is a really good idea.
I agree with you. I guess the one thing I would want to say is send them out with the longest spyglass or telescope we've got, so they can scout it out from a far ways out. And if it's still active after this Redshift and after the next one, then we definitely know something weird's going on. If it actually cools like a volcano would be expected to, then I suppose I'm slightly less worried about it.
Huh. Yeah.
I have no idea if this was perhaps some way that they do deploy bases that are fully built, or if this is how they produce more of their units, is just find a section of mountain and volcano it up for a moment.
Right, make it real hospitable to fiery folks.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
That said, if it is continuously active, I wonder if that's part of the strategy for mitigating the Redshift, since they didn't seem to have an obelisk. I wonder if there's some particularly strong elemental magic that allows them to, affix. I don't know. Malar doesn't know shit about magic, but that affixes the fortress here the way our obelisk did.
Dex says it's not. It's certainly not an impossibility. You're on the right track.
I'm wondering if you could, run logistics up and down the coast, on foot. Just hugging it.
How do you mean?
I mean, how mountainous is the coast directly? Are we talking cliffs of Dover, or oh look, there's some mountains right over here and the beach is rocky?
I see. Yes, it's so down in the southeast is definitely more of a rocky beach situation that eventually turns into a difficult mountain range.
Interesting. Likewise, I don't see why it would be impossible for us to interesting. No, that's still a trip. Nah, never mind. That's difficult in different ways.
Yeah, if we want to go there, I think that's at least 2 redshifts worth of planning.
Nothing says we can't do that in a single session if you guys want to, but
Right,
it
absolutely.
is a thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying the logistics don't work.
Likewise, Alvis Taver pipes in. If there is more than one like active volcano in that mountain range, I wonder if perhaps the elemental bastards haven't connected them somehow, and that is how they mitigate the redshift.
Yeah, it might also be, if they can all do what she does, it's also possible that that mountain range is no impediment to them at all.
Yeah.
I am both struck with anticipation and dread about what we're going to find on the other side of that mountain range. Honestly, on the one hand, I really want to get on the other side. The glimpses of the past that we've seen have started to enthrall my Lauren. But on the other hand, I strongly suspect that we're not nearly as powerful in this region as we think we are.
I can't say I blame you for either of those feelings.
It's definitely a hard geode to crack. But I think the harder outer layer is purely the power manifest. If you understand what I mean. Those who hide behind walls and still fail or struggle in their outward pushings may seem exotic or mysterious or nuanced, but I've learned that the mystery of the lighter world when you live in a dark one is it's what like you surface dwellers call the fear of the dark, right? Just opposite. It's fear of what you don't know.
I understand. You're saying it's quite possible that if we punch through that display of power, what's behind it is brittle and perhaps easy to break.
Exactly. Why else would they be hiding behind an impenetrable wall? Surely they don't have an unstoppable force.
If they did, I imagine we would have been properly overrun by now.
Exactly. Their priorities have been set elsewhere. So if we are strong enough to punch through what they think is an impenetrable wall, that display of power, exactly like Montlaurent said, should be strong enough to show the brittleness within. Like a turtle shell.
Right.
Damn, I miss turtle soup.
Now,
Well, what do you think, Nimbus?
Well, here's another question for Alvis Tab, and this is going back a little bit, more to refresh my memory. Did you hand over the black object you found in Nasrallah's lair to Dex?
To study, yeah, and I asked him if it could be used for certain things.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's seen it.
Okay, but I wanted to confirm he has it right now, or he's planning to take it back with him to Orvis.
Oh, you wanted to take it back with him? I kind of wanted to put it on the end of my whip or something like that.
Well, this might be a conversation he has with you in the past few days. Because he says that at current time he has 2 objects in storage that are very similar to this. they hurt to touch, you know?
Yeah, no, I remember he said he had a similar object. I didn't know he had two.
He well, yeah, he says one was recovered by expeditionist Mortier, and the other by you all.
Yeah?
Near Orbis. It was involved in the river being polluted.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
It was
I
the only
remember
thing
that.
you all brought back from it.
Yeah. You know what? I guess he could have this if he really wants it.
I think it's probably safest, at least until you have a chance to talk to an artisan like Smitty to deal with your whip, which you'd have to do in Orvis anyway.
Exactly. And it's not in my inventory either, so I probably gave it to him.
Okay,
You
great.
actually did hand it over last session. I just don't think you had agreed to let them keep it.
No, I don't think I did. But
He
you
said-
know what?
He says, as long as this thing isn't going to explode or kill somebody else, you can have it, Albus Tapper.
I mean, it does necrotic damage, so I guess that negates
on
me having it.
on skin contact, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a kind of dangerous object, and he's able to, you're able to bundle it up in a couple layers of pouches and transport it safely. He says, I've got the others in a couple of boxes in my study, but finding 3 of them has me thinking. I want to take a closer look at these.
Absolutely. It's a pattern by now.
I feel I've neglected, perhaps, something that I should have noticed.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
What's this golden unicorn encase?
Hey, treat that with respect.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember now. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, you have a golden unicorn statue.
Since you're going to Orvis and you are also such an awesome guy, could you take this and very, 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 very specifically say it belongs in a museum to be respected to the utmost degree?
You have my noblest word that I'll say exactly that.
Maybe less varies, so I sound more erudite, but
Right,
please.
yeah, obviously, yes.
Thank you. Think I'm donating that to the guild.
Oh yeah, we told the Brigadier and Decus about the statue and how mending it stopped the cloud and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
I just figured that's something
aware of
Decus would be interested in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it might be magical or something like.
Yeah, the running assumption is that this perhaps was some spell that may have been made permanent by the Redshift, or perhaps the entire thing was generated by the Redshift from the start. Hard to say.
Well, if the ley lines run through, and it might be a good place for a fort. That's what I was thinking, but probably not worth checking out this time specifically.
No, but I do remember. Yeah, that place would be pretty okay for a fort.
It would also get us about, a journey's worth to Vrabast, so we'd be able to investigate it and come back safely.
Right.
Especially getting that much closer to the tower. We get that much less time to get back for the most part.
It was really defensible.
Brigadier says if we can get people up there, certainly worth looking into. I'm of a mind to, since things have finally calmed down around here, and with potential reinforcements from Cantum and Vanthor's Exiath's group, filling out our ranks here at this obelisk a little bit further, so that we can push. Honestly, I'm also partly of a mind to look into taking Chose, much like we did Orvis, but my worry would be that the dragons clearly know about that one, and who's to say what will happen with that glass wall?
I do think it's worth further investigation, at least, by a team.
I
Definitely.
agree.
Definitely investigation, yeah. I see the wall more as a hazard than a hindrance. Once we figure out how to get around it other ways, I mean. When that thing goes, I don't know.
That's an incredible amount of glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like, just,
Um,
it would expand the desert. The whole forest. I don't know. That's a lot of glass.
Yeah. It is nice that it holds the sand back now that you mention it, though.
Yeah, interesting observation.
yes, and traversing the desert doesn't sound too fun.
And the desertification of this entire peninsula doesn't sound great either.
Well, perhaps the opposite would happen, and knocking down the wall would let the rain on through. But
Oh, good point. Good point. Which
There
way
is
do
a
the
lot of
winds
water here.
travel, Nimbus?
The Redshift kind of does funny things with the wind.
yeah, but from the bay and with a 100-mile wide swamp, you do get quite a bit of rain around here.
That's true. I suppose the other thing I worry about is us being able to go through that way makes it just as easy for them to be able to come that way through at us.
Indeed, it does.
We already know they want Orissa's tower here, despite not willing to stay through the battle.
Well, they were willing to destroy it, as I recall.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're honoring their word, and because we defeated them, they just left. I wouldn't expect that.
At the very least, we know it's going to be hard for them to get back here in any reasonable amount of time. They don't have a circle.
Right, unless there happens to be a fort they've got set up somewhere we haven't discovered yet that, for all we know, they're just using it. It's a somewhat of a dormant location they just have for emergencies and will suddenly appear in our backyard.
All true.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we have at least 4, I think, princes that we haven't met yet.
That sounds correct, and 2 that are still unresolved.
7, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
In total.
Then the king himself, I suppose.
Oh yeah, there's also that dragon. Sure.
I wonder if he has
I
a
say,
queen.
chuckling nervously.
A queen, you say?
I don't know. They
None
don't
was
seem to
ever
talk about
mentioned.
mother. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, we know that they're somewhat of adopted children. They aren't his kin, his flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was a giant, and one of them was a normal-sized woman.
And the other one was a dragon sorcerer archetype, but in a gnome form.
You talking about Moria?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was rather the on the draconic side himself.
Well, they all have characteristics.
Yes.
I mean, you hear stories about dragons. I'm not going to judge or anything, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they were all different moms with the same dad, so to speak.
Well, that would still rule out there being a specific queen, so I think we're kind of safe to assume there isn't one on that.
Indeed. Well, let's assume little, but that's a good guess.
Really, the question's just to bring up, like, we haven't really seen any kind of hierarchy other than, the princes
King, princes,
and then the minions.
Yeah, I mean, there does seem to be a division between like warriors and laborers that seem to value warriors higher than laborers. Just based on what Magnus was saying.
Ah,
I would imagine below the princes but above the warriors is the mages they use, the wizards and whatnot, for their teleportation rituals.
That would make sense. I admittedly had assumed that was either the dragon or its princes, just given that they've all exhibited, magical power of one sort or another.
Magnus did mention that there was a specific group that would do a sort of ritual version of that particular spell.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had missed that.
As in a group of salamanders.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds about right then, Nimbus.
oh, what?
If that's the case, their spellcasters might be somewhat of a higher tier and not generally distributed out on the battlefield. It might be the sort of thing where we won't see them until we're, approaching their territory a bit more. Just because
Right.
they don't want to lose anybody that does the ritual.
Right. All right. Well, what's our immediate plan then?
I'm still looking at doing what we can to kind of uncover the map in some territory on the way to Cantum. And then if we have the time to go up in the mountains, get some good information, and determine at that point whether we want to charge back here or stay over there. We can also ask Captain Van if there's anything that he wanted to get kind of spotted up ahead and help them with that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's That's both a thing that needs to happen and something achievable for us. The reason I asked again is because it occurs to me that, Van's going to have teams that are going to explore that area. The expedition here will eventually, investigate the areas we've cleared north of here. Basically, that exploration will happen whether we do it or not. The only question is when it happens.
That is correct. What you're looking at right now is a range of people going around the areas around here, and these spans, as you've indicated, are traversable in a single week, right? Like a single redshift.
Right.
You're also looking at people coming up from the other forts to Aris's place. That's kind of the Brigadier's next big plan, and that's a short trip for a lot of people to fill out your ranks up here, get some people, in this general area, get some more tents up, or maybe a little bit more permanent housing. And then there's this would probably be the following week or so, but getting people to Chose, getting people to the Foggy Mountain, getting people back to Natharalla's lair, like those are three locations that are optimal at the moment for scouts to run into. It will probably be some time before anything like navigating down in the ocean over here is going to happen. It could, but that's a slightly lower priority at the moment.
Right. It also occurs to me, and this was really the main point I was going to make. No one but us is going to go plant a device or investigate a fortress if we find one there. So until we decide to do that, that goes undone. It doesn't have the benefit that exploring the area will have, which is that it will get done with or without us. So that might be the higher priority action for us to take.
Yeah, she will tell you that she's reticent to send any kind of sizable team again after a volcano spotted on the coastline, knowing what we know. Sending a boat and a few scouts up there. I mean, depending on who, if anybody, has control of that location, could be disastrous. Honestly, even your team, Lauren, going down there is a high risk situation.
I think we should wait till we have a full crew for that. Having water walking and Naya being able to shift into some sort of water animal form would be able to help us make a safer journey, I think.
We could, likewise, we could, on that note, by preparing, by knowing that we're going to be the ones to do this, we could prepare for the journey and then ask Decus to bring the scepter back to us.
That's a good call, yeah.
I still would want to wait at least another week or two and another round over there too, however we can safely look at it, because I think it's the sort of thing, if the volcano continues to be active, that'll give us different details than if it cools down and dies out suddenly. That would let us know a little bit better of what we're dealing with, if this is something sustained or if it was just a one-time occurrence.
Indeed.
Right.
I am again reluctant to send anybody down there now that I know it exists, because even okay, I must look at this from the perspective that there is a dragon living in this volcano. And should that be true, while I find it unlikely because it is within flying distance of Orvis, uh, the last I checked, from how dragons work. Um, if this Dragon King or any of his kin do live there, the chances of them spotting a boat on their water it seems fairly high. We might be able to do something such as land up the coast and trek down, and um
Yeah.
that's possible.
I think one other thing we haven't really considered, we have creatures that, are friends who helped us get up and through the swamp to the north. If they left towards the south and went through the swamp, they could probably get close enough to see, at least in the evening, in the later hours, if it's still, glowing and flowing with lava like a continuously active volcano, or if it's cooled down.
That's true. That may be viable. It would be less noticeable to have people making a discreet camp on the peninsula in the swamp, uh taking look over the bay, than it would be to go sailing with a boat. That's a good idea.
If I'm not mistaken, there's the tree with that relic we found kind of somewhere along the path, right?
Indeed.
So that would be, a good serviceable campsite as well. If we can make the arrangements for them to do that, I would feel much safer having a little more intel on that location. If we even have one of those viewing devices that can be placed somewhere that we've got some sort of an eye on it, at least if we can see something, fly off of it, for example, we'd have a better heads up that there's something coming.
I believe Dex just has the one, but it might be worth putting one down there in view of that volcano if we can indeed see it across the bay.
Is Dex the one who made it, or was it made by Smithy?
Dex is responsible for the magic.
Fair enough.
We might be able to produce a few more of these, but I think it's just a matter of time. For now, it's just the one, which needs a fresh battery, which we have plenty of located at Orvis. So it should just be a matter of getting it back there and then getting it in the hands of somebody to bring it where we need it. As long as we're okay with that being used there, it's not going to be available to your team for a few weeks at that point. So if we're okay with that, then we can make this happen.
I think so.
Right. I was going to say that when we do go down there, we can take a battery and we can pick it up on the way, and then we'll have it for use down in that region when we're operating there if we need to.
Not a bad idea. We can report on where it's located and leave some kind of sign that's not too obvious from afar, or to a different kind of explorer, so nobody else stumbles across it. We definitely wouldn't want them to know that we have this device in our repertoire.
Agreed. Well, I think that kind of brings me back to one of the earlier statements about just doing a loop around this body of water to see if we can find any civilization that may have existed. That would give us a chance to kind of poke around, see what's going on. Maybe we'll find a demon all skewering up a room and stuck in place.
Yeah,
Or
like let's
something else.
cut across, kind of like I'm suggesting here.
Yeah,
And then if something presents itself that we're not expecting, we can branch from there if we need to.
sounds good to me.
If you really wanted to talk to Salmas again, I have his line.
Not just yet. Not until I'm sufficiently ready to run off to the elemental plane of Earth.
I'm not 100% certain you should be telegraphing demons here. Sorry, devils, whichever one.
They're lawful.
That's
Well,
only
either
half
way,
the problem.
What?
I said that's only half the problem.
Either way, might not invite him into my office.
No deals have been made. We're just establishing a repertoire at first, like tea. Talking a bit. I gave his line to, my representatives who know a lot more about this stuff than I do. I'm just a middleman.
Right.
I don't
okay,
make
I
deals.
will mark down the corner club making deals with devils in my logbook.
What do you mean? I just gave them what I found. It doesn't mean that they actually do make deals with devils. That's an entire assumption.
I suppose it is.
But also, yes.
I don't know. Alpha Saver shrugs. Huh?
It's a very decentralized structure you work for, Ground Tassel. I'm not sure I'm a particular fan of that.
I mean, it allows for individuals' tastes to be established. And Alpha Saver then has a funny look on his face as he says this out loud. And then just kind of nods. I think I see what you're saying. I don't.
Yeah, yes, but you see, Sharp tells me he gets paid for his work.
I get.
And I know
Paid in a
he works
sense?
for a different overseer than you do. I've he's I've received the letters. But it seems strange that such a top-heavy organization has such differences between agencies.
I think you might be thinking a little too hard about them. Just, kind of nod and say yes is usually my snap response to any of his guild's workings and doings. Yeah,
Well,
they like receiving stuff. Yeah, they want to do business. I get it.
So you see, Sharp and I, yes, we're not only different sections, but though he does a similar job as we're actually on different levels in the organization. I'm in deeper. I'm not an employee per se, but a student.
What? My
Student?
documents have you both labeled as intern, but I could be mistaken from the information that the club provided.
You see, intern is the
This
job.
is perhaps 2-3-year-old information sent from the Empire, second, third hand. So
Yeah. So the intern is a job, but your job has nothing or has little to do with your place in the club. And then he draws a triangle. No, no.
Triangle.
No. See, I was I was given everything I have. Isn't that payment?
No.
Listen, Grantessel, the good news is that once you're done with your job here, you'll be paid salary enough to retire for at least a couple decades. So keep that in your back pocket.
Salary?
See,
Like that
you,
green stuff you eat?
Cabbage, if you will.
Yeah. Celery. That's an interesting accent you got there, Decus.
When all this is over, Alvis, I'll explain to you.
I don't know. Like what did you guys like? You guys got paid for being born in a mine?
Well, I wouldn't say that I got paid for being. Well, no, yes, absolutely. I mean, not the mine part. That's sad.
What? I loved my mine.
I couldn't imagine living without the sun. It's just a cultural thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like this thing is really bright.
Says the moon elf.
Right.
I would just like to remind you all that you do technically legally work for me, and I am responsible for you as like a 1-to-1 point in terms of you signed all that paperwork back in the Empire. At least I've been told that's how it works. I didn't write the paperwork myself, to be honest.
Paperwork? I mean, I do some of that sometimes, but I don't ever sign things. It's more like detailing.
Oh, your boss probably signed it in your name then.
Wait, I can sign my name on documents?
Well, you put your mark on your map, right?
No.
Oh my God. Alvis.
This is the guild map.
You can't even get paid in exposure if you don't put your mark on the map.
Yeah. You need them to know who
Exposure.
wrote it.
Exposure, like the thing you die to in the when you don't have like a tent.
Renown, fame, prestige.
Oh,
People have to be exposed to your work and know it's your work for you to gain any of that.
like when my boss tells another boss about my work, and then I do more work for that other boss as a favor for my boss.
Putting your mark on the map allows your work to do that speaking for itself.
Interesting.
I would like to make an announcement that when I started this, when Dex and I started this whole thing 3 years ago, I did put out a call to the Empire that I would take anyone they had to send me. So I suppose I should have known what I was getting.
That's just mean. I thought you liked me.
It's just that your circumstances are unique.
Your circumstances are very unique.
I don't know what you mean. I'm just a student. I'm learning. This is like what did my master call it?
On the job training.
No. He called it like how you call us an exposition, an expedition. This was like a learning expedition.
A learning expedition. I understand. We've commissioned scholars for those before. I don't really think that's exactly what this is, but I see where you're going.
Not like that. No, more like training.
Oh, like a camp.
That's the word he used.
I don't want to concern you, Alvis. You might want to review any documents you received when you became a student with your club.
Camp Redshift.
You mean like this one right here? It's the only document I've ever been received.
What does that document say?
Sir?
Your guild document. Well,
it doesn't say that, but I mean, it's along the lines ish.
Yeah. I mean, it's got all like the guild stuff in it, right? The club is they have agencies all over the empire and a ton of other places. They stretch back and forth across the continent. And you've met people from other agencies, a couple of times besides Sharp, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I've just never been able to go out by myself before.
Obviously, you've worked under Overseer Vim for your entire life, or at least as long as Vim has been an overseer. There may perhaps, and I think this is up to you, been an overseer before him, whose spot he ended up taking eventually. Promotions happen.
Yeah.
But at least Vim's been in his spot probably for a decade or two.
Wow.
And as it says on the paper, it's very, very vague. So perhaps 5 different lawyers might read it 5 different ways. But you and everything that you do and create is in fact property of Overseer Vim. Now, you do know that everything Overseer Vim owns and creates is likewise property of the board.
Yeah.
That's just a given, right?
Exactly.
So in this way, despite you and Sharp, for example, Sharp works under Overseer Alcoze, you work under Overseer Vim. Everything that you and Sharp own together, you haven't seen Sharp's contract personally. You assume it's identical to yours because it must be, right? They have to mass produce these. Like, who's going to write a different one for every intern? That would be ridiculous. Everything you own, everything Sharp owns, belongs to your overseers. Everything that your overseers own belongs to the board. In the end, it's just all the board's property.
Well, yeah, and
basically what it says.
And also, I must reiterate that I didn't exactly ever choose to join. I was always a member. Like, the Goliath Fjord was the one who educated me in the mines. I don't know why he was ever down there.
Right.
Not a miner. But no, he gave me, my bit, my will, and I learned from him of the place of the outside and all of the stuff that the outside had. Then Fior handed me off to Vim, and there I am. All of the other people in the mine, though, Vim Vim doesn't mention them. Fior doesn't really talk about them. He kind of didn't like them. But me, I was different.
Yeah,
Do you know your parents?
Who?
Your parents.
Oh no, I assume that they were probably one of the other folk.
Interesting. Well, never mind. I've just heard stories of families being so impoverished that they sold their children.
Ah, I wouldn't say that happening. The people in the mine, they all talked about working hard to get out of the mine, just like I did. So if my parents sold me, they got a bad deal because they're still in the mine.
Oh, that's definitely a optimistic way to look at things, I suppose.
Well, I mean, Fior didn't pick them up and teach them stuff. I was just like pickpocketing people down in the mines and trying to live off bugs and crap like that. You know how unsatisfying the taste of like cricket is? You guys say it tastes like chicken. It does not taste like chicken. I have eaten crickets for like a good 4 years of my life, and they do not taste like chicken. They taste like cricket.
Well, to say it tastes like chicken would mean that they would need to be cooked with the spices a chicken would.
I'm talking about just like cooked meat in general. It's just like the cooked insect does not taste like chicken.
Well,
It tastes almost like lobster.
woe be they who can't season their chicken, I say.
Seasoning's an entire different order that I didn't even know about until, Yeah.
Now, Grontassel, you said that your this mine of yours, it's in the Empire's capital city, yes?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I mean, I don't know where the mine is. See, I was, I fell asleep after one day in the mine. I remember that day particularly well because Fior was very happy with my studies and some of the things that I had happened to acquire back then, though he always reminded me that I shouldn't pickpocket from people. Stealing's bad. And after a couple
Yes.
of head pats, and he gave me this book to read. Just because that's what he does. He gives me a book after I finish another one. I fell asleep. Then I woke up in a room made of wood, which, to me was like, holy fucking shit, you make entire rooms made out of this shit, right? But really what was weirdest was was what I learned was glass, but at first I thought it was like a rock. The window, it was really bright outside. And that was the first time I saw the sun. But yeah, I don't know where the mine is.
Okay, noted.
Now, I know I can trust you, so I really got to ask: is this the kind of stuff I should be talking about?
Oh yes, it's fine. We're obviously Grontassel. Over the past 3 years, I would consider each of you a good friend. So feel free to tell me. You can safely confide in me if you need. I might not be the best person for that sort of thing. I've never been told I'm a good therapist or anything like that, but um,
Oh, that's just great. I wouldn't want to get in trouble
treading
with the
around
guild.
No, of course not. Obviously, this is all information that I know or frankly should know. It's probably in a file that I have on you somewhere. I may have simply forgotten in the past few years. So perhaps it's time I go back and do my homework next time I return to my office proper. Um, Mont Lauren, she's so bad at lying. like she only has half a face, and it's twice as expressive as somebody with a full one. Uh, Trying not to make it obvious.
Who? What?
No, that's okay. That was for Montlaren's ears only.
Yeah, don't
They're
worry about it.
longer and able to hear things from the gods.
Oh,
All right, are we gonna head north?
yeah, that sounds like a plan.
All right then. So
All right.
by the time you return here, if that's your plan, we should have some more people in this area. And again, people heading out to the 3 locations soon, and we'll avoid the volcano for now, but we'll send a team down in the next uh likely week after next to um keep an eye and set that spying device out. Um in the meantime, indeed, getting this connection back with Vanthor's Exeath will be helpful in many ways. Um and At the very least, we'll have a steady supply line um, coming from 2 directions from the Empire now, instead of just one. All right, if that's your plan, stock up, be safe. Report in when you get to an obelisk, I suppose. I'll I'll be here for 1 more week. Once we have more than a skeleton crew at this place, though, I'll be heading back to Orbis most likely.
Excellent. Before we set off, I'm going to take a break for just a couple minutes. I'll be back.
And grab another slice of pizza.
Oh, I was going to say something actually.
Oh no.
Oh,
Before
what's up?
break time. I think it would be best if we're going to go in this direction, I can prepare more interesting things for you if you guys give me a week.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotcha.
So short session today, but we can get a bunch more stuff, and we could just go right off to it next week.
Yeah,
As long
sounds
as you
good,
guys
man.
are all okay with that.
Sounds good. I guess
Totally
the other things that I wanted to cover this session, the harpy that we saw way in the south, was it in any way related to the ones that we're seeing up north?
Hard to say. I know I said harpies, but harpy-like creatures
Okay.
is more akin to what you're seeing around here. And the team who took Cantum was able to deal with them quite handily.
Gotcha. All right. And then is there still an effort going on at that spot in the very far northwest that was said to be like a ruins of some civilization that might have some cool magic goodies? I think it was up here.
Yes. So that Van has reported back on as being a the situation with that is that it's a city that is in, or perhaps originally was upon, a mountain, but through some means has been flipped entirely upside down, quite literally. Um, and that makes it very difficult to get around. Um, Van has a bit of benefit doing it himself, and so he's kind of made a couple of trips over there just solo to take a look around. Um, but aside from that, the place is a fucking mess, frankly. and it's difficult to get people in there. And at a certain point, Van has had to focus a little bit more on building the supply line than having fun in there. It's a work in progress.
Sounds good. I don't think I would be going over there to help investigate anytime soon, but I'm sure we've got people that would be able to get through it a bit easier. If we have any additional druids that have joined us, they would probably be able to use beast forms like a spider or something to really get around.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's good to hear that that's what's going on. Any news going further south and west from here? I know we're abandoning Keep Ignis for right now.
Yeah, that's basically the plan. The current situation around is fairly quiet and has been for the past few weeks. I mean, a lot of it has been kind of on a standstill while you guys have dealt with the siblings, because it's been far too risky to move out and about. Um, so things have kind of just been, making sure the territory around the obelisks is safe, making sure the supply lines are steady. Um, even doing things like building small bridges here and there to make the travel quicker across the landscape, and especially in the swamp area, getting structures in place. Boat building at Harpum continues. The repairs on Castus continue to, which seem to be doing wonders for our friend's memory down there, and his sense of self that is attached to this old temple. And with Captain Lyra's group moving into Grandmother's Grove, we have more contact with Grandmother again. She's been kind of out of the loop a little bit, just because she hasn't been on the network.
Have we been able to send anybody north of Gatra's clan to look at that area a little bit more?
It's been sort of a there's generally been an agreement with the goblins that we let them have their turf and they let us have ours, and um terms are friendly but not allied at the moment. Um and so that has been sort of the measure of respect. That whole side of the river has kind of been, well, nobody's really going over there. That said, the goblin trip that you found on your way up the fog area um does need an escort back um this week. So it's likely that some people will be getting over there in the next couple of weeks to make that trip. And if there's something specific you want to ask the goblins about, that would actually be a great way to do it.
Yeah, specifically if there's any fire creatures that they've been finding lurking around in the area north.
Consider it a question to be answered.
All right. And then the other thing, probably the thing I was doing during the downtime, aside from our friendly little conversations, would be checking with whoever's got access to the books back at Orvis to try to identify all the various sorts of draconic and fiery sort of creatures that we should be on the lookout for. What actually exists, what sorts of things they are, and
Okay.
the telltale signs, so we might be able to spot them if we come across them.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you give me a roll for this session tonight? Give me a let's see. Nature is a good one.
Okay.
And this will we'll take the first one.
Yeah, it was on normal. I guess I just double clicked it.
Yeah. So, the types of creatures that dragons employ, and dragonkin. Obviously, there are half dragons. These are uncommon generally. And obviously, it depends on the dragon as an individual what sort of creatures they employ. But obviously, you've already seen and encountered mephits. You've encountered salamanders. I think that's pretty much it.
What were those big dudes?
There was also a fire elemental, right?
Fomorian?
Yes. Yeah, those are Fomorians. They're a kind of giant kin. But can often be found in the employ of villainous groups. Kobolds are common, in dragon related business. Again, that really depends on the dragon, like whether they want a kobold army worshipping them or not. Depending on the dragon, they might sooner eat any kobolds that want to worship them. It's really up to them. Elementals, like raw elementals, are always an option. Some dragons, even by their very presence, will cause elementals to spring into existence in the lands around where they lair. That is a thing that has been known to happen. And indeed, there was a pretty big elemental that Morio got involved with, although he did lose control of it. And other than that, dragons have been known to employ all sorts of people. Depending on the dragon, they might treat with fiends. Less likely to treat with fae, they don't always get along so well. Other monstrous creatures, like the lesser groups of monstrous creatures, troglodytes, there's always the chance that a dragon takes any kind of mortal that they can get to worship them, even kobolds aside. It's not out of the question for there to be human worshippers, or any other mortal species. But who knows if that's sort of thing that the Dragon King wants right around here. And depending on how elementally attuned a dragon is, they could range from elementals. They could even get the creatures from the elemental planes that live there normally, like genies and such. involved, depending on how powerful they are and how good they are at bribery, and what they want to happen. Does a dragon want to share with a genie? Maybe. Maybe that's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's been known to happen before, but that's also a potentially delicate situation for both of them. Um, these are some of the options that might um, come up. Again, it's a very you can never predict exactly how a dragon is going to work, um, because they are generally very intelligent and very independent individuals, and sort of as a rule, have extremely kingly egos. Uh, so whatever they think works best is probably what they're gonna do, and that can change from dragon to dragon.
Gotcha.
And many dragons don't even bother with minions, and they prefer to simply, haunt a certain territory completely solo or with a mate.
That would make sense. Raise the dragon kids.
But it does seem like the Dragon King is sort of more on the minions side, at least.
Well, it makes me wonder if if all of the dragon princes and such are actually serviced with a full regiment of troops of some kind, or if some of them are simply solo.
That is a big question.
All right.
I mean, honestly, it did seem like a lot of those creatures were listening more to Nasharala than they were to Zoramos. And you imagine that big guy can probably, handle things by himself a lot of the time. So
That's true.
He very well may just stomp around solo a whole bunch. Although you did only ever see the two of them together.
I kind of get the idea that the Fomorians are his units.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say also, in defense of that theory, he was often exasperated with the folks he was working with, or at least he seemed to be.
He did have kind of a stoic air about him.
It would make sense if they weren't his troops. That's all I was thinking.
Good to know. All right. Well, I think we kind of have our plan for next time, unless everybody else comes back and we decide to do something else.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Cool.
Okay then. Well, thank you all for sticking around over the break. Welcome back. We'll try to get back on regular schedule now. I'll update the calendar before next week so we can all do proper signups. And
Cool.
yeah, sign up if you're free. Hopefully we'll have most everybody in. Elvis, I hope you can maybe make it after work.
Yeah. I will be out of work at 8:10. So.
What time zone are you?
Pacific.
Oh, okay. That is
An hour and 10 minutes after we start.
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Well, I mean, if you do want to pop in late, you're always welcome to do that.
I'll pop in late. Yeah.
If you let me know in advance, I can make sure we work it. Yeah. Okay. See you guys then. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh yeah, thanks for the session, man.
Yep. Thanks,
Good
man.
stuff.
Bye for now.
Yep.
Cheers.
Later, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.